What's up, collectors? DK here with Collectors Impact, and today we're going to have a nice podcast style of video. It's an audio only day because I'm having equipment issues, giggity, so we're just going to stick with the microphone today. So this is going to be a nice chill conversation, so go ahead and you can put it on in the background. Just make sure you have the volume on loud enough so that you can hear me, and we'll jump into this. So today's video topic is about MetaZoo, and rather than diving into the market analytics of MetaZoo at the moment in terms of like single card prices and packs and upcoming things, I really wanted to take an opportunity to step back and view the MetaZoo situation at a more bird's eye type of view and kind of put a little bit of context around this in some unique kind of ways. So what has inspired me to make this video is that I've been getting quite a few questions from the subscribers of the channel regarding MetaZoo and the amount of content that I've been making on MetaZoo. So I just wanted to kind of explain my current fascination with MetaZoo, if you will. And I want to definitely take the moment to mention that I am not sponsored by MetaZoo. This is 100% a non-monetized channel at the moment. This is just my organic take on the card market and everything based on the knowledge and experience that I have in it. It's kind of a fun hobby thing at the moment, though if I can get enough subscribers, I will definitely be making some additional improvements and whatnot to the channel. So a little shameless plug there. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe to the channel as I'm trying to reach that 1,000 subscriber mark. It would be super helpful if you would subscribe. Anyway, let's get back on topic of MetaZoo. So the reason that I've been so focused on MetaZoo, and it's been kind of occupying my mind as of late, is because of how unique this game and this situation is in the marketplace as a whole. And I'm just going to go ahead and say in our society at this moment of where we are from a societal standpoint. So when I was saying we're going to take a really we're going to step back and we're going to look at things from a large perspective, that's absolutely what we're going to do here. So first and foremost, this MetaZoo product, I'm going to go ahead and admit that when I first heard about it, I didn't quite grasp the special nature of the product. I didn't quite, see it for what I see it for now when I was first hearing about it during the Kickstarter days and everything. And of course, that's a major regret of mine that I didn't get on the Kickstarter train and actually get Kickstarter product, because now that I've been dealing with the cards and I have a few boxes and I've opened quite a lot of it and I've played the game and I've been enjoying it, I'm definitely regretting missing out on that very initial hype wave and missing out on all the potential gains that came with that for the people who were involved. So for anyone that was involved during the Kickstarter days, kudos to you, because you definitely identified something with good potential, and it was a very smart move to get involved at that point. But, it's probably not too late in terms of the first edition, whatnot, for myself, at least I'm speaking here. I'm not trying to sell anybody on MetaZoo. That's not the purpose of my channel. I really am not trying to be like a super hype type person. Get on the hype train or you're going to lose out. No, that's not the point. Anyway, yeah, it's probably not too late. You know what I mean? The first edition set just came out, and there's plenty in the pipeline for MetaZoo. According to the creator, Mike Waddell there, he has definitely displayed his passion in several interviews that I've seen. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Let's step back and really let's talk about this. So what is special about MetaZoo in comparison to all of the other card games that I have seen? A little bit of background on me for anyone who may be new to the channel. I have many years of experience in the card market. I used to manage a local card shop for the better part of 10 years. I started out just working there and stuff and running tournaments, and then later became the manager of the store. Anyway, that's just to say that I have a lot of experience in this arena. I've seen a lot of products come and go. I've had lots and lots of interactions with customers in real life, in person, for many years. I've run all kinds of events and tournaments. I'm a Wizards of the Coast judge, and I was a judge for Sabertooth Games and Upper Deck with Yu-Gi-Oh! And all that kind of stuff. I was pretty involved in it in my younger years. And I'm not as much involved in that scene as much now. I'm much more focused on like the cards collecting and the market and grading and all that kind of stuff, as seems to be the natural progression for people as they age but still continue to do the hobbies kind of a thing. I'm very much kind of an example of probably the typical kind of collecting path that we've been experiencing out here in this world of collectibles and cards recently. With all that said, circling back to MetaZoo and what makes it special in the space. So when we look at things like Magic the Gathering, well, actually, I guess, yeah, Magic the Gathering. Let's start at the beginning. Magic the Gathering was the very first trading card game to ever come out. And the thing that made Magic the Gathering so special is that it was kind of a bootstraps-oriented game designed by Richard Garfield. He ended up dropping out of college in order to fulfill his vision and chase his dream of making Magic the Gathering a real thing. It was his own private endeavor with a few other people and whatnot, and they essentially started from a shoestring budget and designed and produced Magic the Gathering, which would of course go and take the world by storm, making this, the trading card game concept and an industry that has just completely and utterly taken over the card industry, at least as a general rule. I mean, there's still sports cards, obviously. That's a huge market. It's always been a huge market. It's one of the main markets for the cards in general. But when it comes to the hobby enthusiast game level stuff, Magic the Gathering was the absolute catalyst that started the whole trend. Then it became pretty apparent in the mid-90s that when you design other games, Magic it got such a good stronghold in the market, right? And it had a very dedicated following and fan base. And that's because the game engine for Magic the Gathering was and still is one of the absolute best that there has ever been. It's just kind of one of those muse things, Richard Garfield, however he did it, he designed an amazing game, and it forever changed the world, honestly, of gaming, of tabletop gaming, at least in my opinion. So, in the mid-90s, other companies and even Wizards of the Coast tried to produce other games that were not based on franchises and whatnot, and none of them did as well as Magic the Gathering. So then you enter things like Star Wars, the Decipher games, which was a competitor to Wizards at that time, started getting licensed products and producing trading card games like Star Wars, and then later in the early 2000s they did Lord of the Rings, and they also had some things like Star Trek and a few other random games. They even did an Austin Powers game, which I have a opening of some of those packs on the channel if you're interested in seeing those. But anyway, they were a very licensed, heavy-based card game company, and they saw moderate success due to that. I will say that the Star Wars trading card game was probably their most successful in the mid-90s. It actually did rival Magic the Gathering at one point, if you can believe it. The Luke Skywalker card and the Darth Vader card were worth just as much, if not a little bit more, than the Mox cards from Magic the Gathering in 1995, and that is not a lie. That is a verifiable fact. I was there for it. I remember it, at least in terms of the unlimited Moxes. That notion today is kind of laughable, considering the Moxes are worth, like 100 times that of Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. But that just goes to show the volatility of the market and how things change and adapt. Anyway, fast forward to the year 1999, when Wizards of the Coast was presented with the opportunity to be the producer and distributor of Pokemon, the trading card game. That's where things really started to change in the card market for the next 20 years, because Pokemon introduced the Japanese anime style of artwork and just overall the Japanese influence to the trading card game market in the United States and in other Western countries. It was a huge shift in terms of the overall market, and I can't even begin to really state the impact that Pokemon had on the trading card game market. I'm pretty sure that everyone listening to this is very well aware of how influential that was. And it would go on to shape the trading card game market for the next 20 years. It absolutely would. And then you had things like the rise of Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I honestly didn't foresee that it was going to last as long as it did. But there were a lot of anime-based card games that came out. There was Yu Yu Hakusho, there was Naruto, there was Inuyasha, which, again, another shout out to Inuyasha. The game engine on that particular trading card game is absolutely amazing. If you have the ability to get some of those cards, even though it is a discontinued game at this point, those cards are incredible. The game is really well made. But anyway, I think you get the point here. There were a lot of franchise-based games that took the market by storm. And now, if we fast forward to the 2000 teens, to the 2000, to that whole decade, and look at the culture of the country, the culture of the Western world, the 2000 teens, at least in the current time, I don't know. I mean, it may be controversial, I don't know, but I would consider that particular decade the cookie cutter decade, in the sense of the companies in general, and I'm talking about entertainment companies, Hollywood, the TV networks, even the toy companies like Hasbro and the other companies like Upper Deck and Score and whoever else that were producing trading card games. They were kind of stuck in a rut in terms of just trying new IPs or not new IPs, but trying to utilize existing IPs in products and to produce those products and cater to a built-in fan base and get fans of those franchises to purchase products in order to go see movies. So in a nutshell, like Disney bought the Star Wars brand and started making new Star Wars movies with their own Disney flair, which, we know how that went, you guys. And they did like remasters and remakes of other movies. They tried to bring back Ghostbusters with a new modern flair. They tried to bring back all kinds of different movie franchises and old TV shows on Netflix and whatever. You get what I'm saying. There was a lot of rehashing of old ideas and trying to make them new again. But I don't know how many of you guys, would agree with me, but a lot of them fell very short because of various reasons that, there's so much to say about that. I'm just going to leave it at that. They fell short for various reasons. Fast forward to the year 2020, when everything that I don't even have to get into that's obviously recent history and is still going on as of the filming of this video. But when everybody was cooped up inside, there was a strong desire to return to and revisit some of the things that used to bring people happiness in their youthful days. So Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, especially Pokemon cards, exploded in value, which is really an interesting concept in a lot of ways when you think about it. But there are other factors that were involved in this too. You had the boom of the crypto market, as well as the money printer goes burr and the stocks going crazy after they fell. And there are a lot of factors that really, they're not necessarily the point of this video, but if you were paying attention to the markets and the spaces at that time, you know what I'm talking about. The volatility was crazy, and the desire to get a little bit of happiness in life was definitely felt with the whole Pokemon craze, in addition to the wanting some tendies and the investment aspects of the card really kicking off. So that's kind of what I'm getting at there, is that the cards in the early 2020s here have crossed over into a realm of investing and nostalgia. And herein enters MetaZoo. MetaZoo is such a unique thing because it's almost like, I don't want to give it I don't want to overcredit it and say that it's like Magic the Gathering in terms of its disruption to a marketplace. And there's still a lot of time that it has to go through and things that it has to prove. But I will say that it's a very unique product for a marketplace that has had many, many, many products come out in the last 30 years. MetaZoo is unique for one key reason. There are other reasons too, but a key reason is the Kickstarter approach to the game. So the game, the creator there, Mike, he comes from a finance background with Goldman Sachs, which, I can't speak to him or his life experiences and whatnot. I can't put words in his mouth. I can just say that from my own experience, that kind of stuff just isn't super fun. You know what I mean? I mean, it's lucrative, but it's not just, those types of environments and whatnot aren't very fun. So I could see his desire to want to do like a a trading card game, especially if he was passionate about them for many years in his earlier youth. I'm pretty stoked that Mike was able to make his dream come true and to actually pursue it. But the main thing is that he was able to fund his own game. He didn't go through a corporation, right? He didn't go through an established channel or avenue to get this product made. That's where I draw the similarities between Richard Garfield and following his vision with Magic the Gathering and Mike's vision here with MetaZoo. When you fund your own product like that and have a Kickstarter approach, which it's not the first time that it's happened, but in terms of the most like hype and or market sticking power, I don't know what you'd want to call it, that I've seen in the trading card game space, MetaZoo is a unique situation. And that is why I am honestly very fascinated with it. The fact that it came out the way that it did, the Kickstarter product was very, very successful. And now the first edition launch was extremely successful, so much so that the secondary market prices are way higher than the retail prices, which is, that shows that the game has strength and demand. And now we've got more products coming out very soon. You've got the Topps products coming out. You've got a new expansion, the Nightfall set coming out. You've got second edition coming out in a few months for the Cryptid Nation. And there's a lot more on the horizon. I also want to touch on Flesh and Blood a little bit because that was not a corporately sponsored game either. It's very much a self-funded type of project, very similar to MetaZoo. The key difference between those products to me is MetaZoo's Cryptid Monster approach. It is very similar to Pokemon in regards to how many monsters there are and how you can keep going with that sort of an idea, plus the identity, the regional identity for each of these creatures and the fans that you could gather based on the lore and the regional identity of the creatures. So it's a bit of a different animal, pun intended, versus Flesh and Blood. Flesh and Blood is much more of a traditional type of card game, much more of a traditional type of approach to the trading card game. There are similarities, again, between MetaZoo and Flesh and Blood in terms of its rustic start and everything. But MetaZoo is a bit different for the Cryptid Monster reason. The MetaZoo team was able to utilize tactics that worked in the past by analyzing those markets and implementing things that worked in the past. And Pokemon is obviously a very big influence when it comes to MetaZoo. You can look at the cards, the packaging, the overall template design, the foils, everything is very, very throwback and reminiscent to Pokemon. That is definitely intentional, as Pokemon was a major success and a market trendsetter for that time period. So it's, they say imitation is the strongest form of flattery or whatever. So yeah, I that's kind of the approach that I have with it. I don't necessarily think that MetaZoo is a direct knockoff. I think that it's very much paying homage to that aspect of trading card game history and the popularity that Pokemon had. And going down the road with Topps cards is another good way to do that, kind of following in the successful footsteps of a predecessor that way. But anyway, I'm not trying to get too much off track here. What the main point or thing that I want to say about MetaZoo is how it is not based on a franchise. It is its own passion project that's been created from the ground up with Kickstarter and has actually organically taken over. And I really think that our society and the time frame that we find ourselves in is the key reason that this has been so successful. Along comes MetaZoo with its weird art form and its weird throwback feels for a better time period in a lot of people's lives, in addition to being created by somebody from the banking industry who knows about finance, who knows about investment. And he was able, and the team was able, to create a product that was a perfect storm for the marketplace that they were introducing it into based on all of these concepts and everything. That is why MetaZoo is so special. That is why MetaZoo is such an important product in the history so far of trading card games. Obviously, it is way too early to tell if it's going to stick around, if it's going to be a big deal for a long time, if it's going to really make a brand footprint or whatnot. But I will say that in terms of products that, how I don't know if you guys have done this, but I have certainly done it, where I scratch my head and I'm like, what is something that I can get now and put aside, and it'll be a big thing in a few years and potentially be worth a lot of money, or just it'll have a cultural significance. And I do think that there's potential with MetaZoo. And again, this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to run out and buy MetaZoo right now. This is such a short-term market. There's going to be a lot of ebb and flows. There's going to be a lot of buying opportunities. There's going to be a lot of missed opportunities. That's just the nature of this thing. So I'm not intending to light a fire under you or anything like that. That's not the intent. The intent is just to share that in terms of organic collectability and a true desire for a product and a genuine approach at a collectible and product, this game isn't cookie cutter manufactured from a corporate entity to just make the stock look good and then eventually fade out for the next thing. This seems to be something very different. The creators seem to have a very different pulse on the market than a lot of the other competitors in the space, and they just seem very passion driven, which is kind of something that's been lacking in the entertainment field for a long time, for the last decade or so. And the trading cards, they've been kind of victim to it too, especially look at Wizards of the Coast and what they've been doing with their modern strategies that they've been going down. They've kind of sacrificed so much of what made Magic the Gathering great and collectible, and they're doing things to turn a profit. And I'm not necessarily saying that that's bad or that the game Magic is dying or is or any of that. You know what I mean? Magic is doing just fine. It's the king. It's the main game. I'm hoping that they continue to do well. I'm hoping that they kind of correct course with their ship, as they're doing some really weird stuff. But that's another market that's been interesting to follow and keep tabs on, especially since I've been so passionate about Magic the Gathering for so many years. So it's interesting. I'll just say that. But anyway, MetaZoo, I will say that the game itself, if the game itself was actually groundbreaking like Magic the Gathering was, this would be a home run product, no doubt. The one area that I have the most concern with is the game engine itself, as it's not very unique, and it isn't exactly... It hasn't gripped me yet. Now, they can introduce rules and change rules and all of that going forward, so I'm not going to poo-poo all over it. They can make improvements there. It just is what it is. The game engine itself, it's no Inuyasha in terms of how unique and fun that game was. It's no Magic the Gathering in terms of how unique and fun that game was. And Pokemon was kind of a special thing anyway. It wasn't the best game either. So if we're looking at the history of trading card games, yeah, Pokemon's not the best game engine by any means, but it also isn't bad. You know what I mean? It's very fun. Pokemon is a good product. It always has been, always will be, and MetaZoo can hopefully be that way too. But the long-term trajectory for MetaZoo, the sky is the limit, and that's kind of what's exciting about it. If they get franchise deals and they start making plushies, if they get a video game deal, if they get a TV show deal, and they're already making comic books, if they do like manga books and other various action figures, whatever else they do in addition to the cards. Plus, not to mention in the future, if they change up the card templates a lot and they start making new fancy stuff, they get better art, it gets more sleek, and if it gets more in league with competing types of card games in terms of how flashy and modern the cards look, then the old cards from the series are going to be desired as well, because they're going to be more rustic and it's more of a part of the history of the game. We got to look at this long term. In terms of the game right now, I personally don't think that the MetaZoo cards in 2027, if the game is still around, are going to look anything like the MetaZoo cards from 2020 and 2021. I just think that the cards themselves will evolve significantly as the budget increases for the production of the cards, as the market continues to get analyzed by the producers and they start making changes and shifts to the direction of the game itself and of the card templates and of the rarity slots and the lottery cards and the promo cards. And there's just so much potential when it comes to this product. My little two cents would be not to necessarily dismiss it as just a Pokemon clone and just move on kind of thing. There could be some pretty good potential here based on all of the factors that I've discussed up to this point. So that's just my 2 cents on it. That's why MetaZoo is kind of special to me so far. And again, I'm not sponsored. I'm not telling you to run out and buy this product. It's not what I'm doing. I'm just sharing this opinion based on all these years in this marketplace. So thank you very much for coming by and checking out this video. If you liked it, definitely give it a thumbs up, as it really helps with the channel and everything. And if you want more content like this in the future, as well as other tips on like card grading and other pack openings and just chill videos and random videos about cards and collectibles, definitely subscribe to the Collector's Impact. Thanks again for coming by, and I hope to see you again next time. Take care.